Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm here with episode 12 of Born Hungry, and today we are going to be making bread. So first of all, let's take a look at what we need. Okay, to start with, we'll measure out 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. If you can find bread flour, that would be a better option, but all I could find was all-purpose flour, so I thought I'd use that. Once we are done measuring out our flour, we are going to add 1 teaspoon of salt into the flour, and then we are going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar, and we can mix it all to incorporate everything. Once everything is mixed, we are going to leave the bowl aside for a minute, and we are going to start making our yeast mixture. So in this cup I have 2.5 teaspoons of yeast, and to that I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. And to start with, we are going to only add 1/3 cup of water to this yeast. We will need more water to mix the dough and to get the correct consistency of the dough, but to be on the safe side, we are going to add less water than we need. The water that we are adding must be lukewarm, or it should be warm in order to activate the yeast. Mix the yeast mixture well, and you can close it and leave it for about 10 minutes to rise. After about 10 minutes, our yeast has risen, and we are going to add the yeast to the flour mixture. After adding yeast to the flour, we have to add 3 tablespoons of oil. I'm using olive oil here, but you can use any type of oil that you want. Obviously not some baby oil or hair oil. Then we can mix it all in and start forming the dough. So as you can see here, I'm measuring out 1 cup of water, again lukewarm water. You can add this water from time to time and form the dough to the correct consistency. Make sure your dough is not too sticky or not too hard. If you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm just washing out the yeast with the water and adding it to the flour just so that I don't miss any yeast. You can use a spoon or a spatula to do the initial part of the dough making process, because if you use your hands from the beginning, it will get messier. Once a ball of dough is formed, you can use your hands to knead it. Now we are going to transfer our ball of dough onto a flat surface. I'm going to use my chopping board, as you can see. So you have to flour the surface first and then transfer the dough and start kneading. You must knead your dough for a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes in order to get a very soft bread. You must be thinking why I'm stressing so much about the time that you have to knead, and kneading for that matter. But kneading is the most important thing when it comes to making bread. To tell you in the simplest way possible, this kneading process will facilitate the formation of gluten, which will in turn give us a very soft and moist bread. Once we're done kneading, we have to leave the dough to rise. So we're going to add some oil onto the bowl that we're going to leave the dough, and we're going to add some oil to the dough itself. We add oil because we want to prevent the dough from drying up while it's rising. Now you can cover it with a cling film and leave it to rise. If you don't have cling film, you can use a cloth, which is preferably a bit wet. Why we prefer a wet cloth is again because we want to prevent the dough from drying up. After about 2 hours, you can see my dough has risen. Now we are going to transfer it to a flat surface and gently press it down to remove the trapped air bubbles. Next, we are going to use a rolling pin and roll out the dough to match the length of the pan that we are going to put it to. Now we are going to start rolling the dough from one side. As you can see, carefully roll it once and then bend the two sides inwards. While holding the two sides, carefully roll the dough again. Continue to roll the dough while applying some inward pressure with your fingers. Once we have rolled our dough, you can see that there are some gaps on the two sides. We have to pinch these gaps and remove these gaps before we put it to bake. And as you can see, the end of the roll also has some gaps, so we have to pinch that as well. After that, we can mold our dough to form a more nicer, a more symmetrical and a proper shape. Now that our loaf of bread is done, we can transfer it onto the bread pan. Unfortunately, you can't bake it just yet. We have to wrap it in a cling film or a cloth like previously and leave it to rise for about 30 minutes and then we can bake it. My loaf of bread is out of the oven and I'm really excited as to how it turned out to be. To do the final touchings, as you can see, the top of the bread is a bit dry, so we are going to add some butter and make it look shiny, and the plus point is it will taste good too. So that is how we made the loaf of bread. I hope you liked it and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like, comment, subscribe and share. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again in another video soon. Bye.